Sarah, what brings you today?
Hi. I typed it because I've been talking to my counselor about it for the last few months.
Okay.
First of all, I'm autistic.
Okay.
Which is just important for you to know about how I communicate and things.
Okay.
I had a baby in February 17th, 2022, 2/17/22.
2/17/22. Okay.
We went back to the father's house for 2 weeks while my incision healed, and when my baby was 4 days old on 2/22/22, Alex began having anal sex with me while I still had metal staples in from the C-section and tubal litigation.
Okay.
I went to the doctor at 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks for the baby checkups, and I had a raging UTI every time. Oof. The stupid autistic nuance about me is if someone tells me it's allowed, then I think it's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I really look for authority to tell me what's allowed and what's not.
Okay.
And he's a nurse at Oklahoma Heart Hospital. And he told me it wouldn't hurt me because I was still numb from the surgery.
Does he still work at the hospital?
He does.
Okay.
On 4/20, the police, DHS knocked on my door in Stillwater about him pinning down my autistic child and putting him in a therapeutic hold, is what Alex, the doctor, called it.
You said he put him in a chokehold?
That's what it was, but he told me it was called a therapeutic hold.
Okay.
But he had his arm across his neck and covering his mouth.
Okay.
And he was 12 at the time, and he screamed and screamed for help. And Alex told me it's just a therapeutic hold. I'm allowed to do this.
Okay.
So on 4/20, that was 2 days before. So on 4/20 is when DHS came to ask about the situation.
Okay. You said it happened a few days before?
Yeah, on that Sunday night, so
okay.
2 or 3 days before.
4/20 of this year?
No, of 2022.
Okay.
Because I was working at the art festival here when they came to my house in Stillwater.
Okay.
He gave them a tour, they had no concerns, and they called me to set a date for me to talk to them. I didn't realize at the time how much I was being railroaded or gaslighted because I just listened to what he said because I thought he was telling, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me I was only allowed to meet them with him because if I said anything different than putting him in a therapeutic hold, then I would be arrested for letting my child be abused.
Okay.
So he told me I was not allowed to speak to them without him present. So until 5/5/2022 is when we were first available. So this is the
first available to meet with DHS?
With both of us present due to his threats. I always had my child with me. He had never kept her overnight.
Okay.
And on 5/5, I came to town to start a job here. And I worked during the day, and then I checked this out. Can I just, do you want me to read it out loud, or do you want to read it?
Yeah, that's fine. You can read it.
On my first day of work, I fell in the rain on my way home. I came to his house and picked Stella up and sobbed. I told him my new schedule, and he said he worked all of those days, so his mom was just going to keep Stella. I told him, that's not allowed. She abused you your whole life. She's not allowed to be around Stella. This can't work this way. I can't work in the city if your mom is going to be the one keeping Stella. I just can't do it. And I sobbed and sobbed. And then it says he picked me up from sobbing on the toilet. I thought he was going to give me a hug, but he bent me over and fucked me in the ass instead. I just kept sobbing. When he finished, he loaded Stella up and left me sobbing on the bed. I called every 30 minutes to see where they were, and after 3 hours, he replied and said, Stella is fine, it's not a good idea if we talk right now, and blocked my number, which sent me sobbing even worse. I called and called. He called the police and told them to lock me up for being erratic and suicidal. The police came. They said that they can tell I have postpartum and I'm crying. The cops told him 3 times to bring Stella back and the situation was over. The mother needs to nurse her babies. Alex argued with the cops to take me to a psych ward. The officer agreed and they took me to a psych ward for crying.
Okay.
So I was labeled that I needed to be in a psych ward due to my crying and actions that night of just I couldn't get out of that sob. And during that sobbing spiral, he picked me up and I thought he was gonna hug me, but instead he just bent me over and fucked me in the ass for probably the 20th time of unrequited, of where I'm just laying there sobbing.
He said he's done it 20 times before?
At least.
Okay.
Because I stayed with him for those 2 weeks and it started on day 4 and it was at least once a day.
Okay.
And I went back to my house as soon as I was healed enough to be able to walk on my stairs. And there's a page about how he followed me back to my house to ensure that his punishment towards my children were still intact. So even when I tried to leave being around him, he would still he tried to make my child be on 8-hour timeout for waking up and hollering at his brother.
Okay.
And so he followed me back to Stillwater and made that kid, my autistic kid, sit for 6 hours to ensure that he did that. And that was the night that he pinned him down.
Okay. Okay. So, how long have you known Alex?
So it's not hard or tricky. In May of 2021, we met at a wedding.
Okay. What's Alex's last name?
Helms.
Helms?
Yep, Helms. We met him at a wedding in May. I drove down to see him in Texas 2 weeks later.
In May of 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I drove to Texas and saw him 2 weeks later. We hooked up again. And then that was the end of our courtship.
Okay.
The week after I got back from Texas, I was raped at a bar on camera. And so I've been going to heavy counseling to deal with that already.
Okay.
I had my baby.
Is that Alex's kid?
Yeah, we took
Okay.
the DNA the month before she was born.
Okay.
The baby was born in... Oh, he lived in Texas all the way till January.
January of 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he moved here in January 2022. Me and him only saw each other during our once-a-month appointments, so it wasn't like a relationship, you know?
Mm-hmm. When you say once-a-month appointments, what's that for?
For baby appointments. He'd come up for the appointments.
Okay.
And then in January, when he moved up here, he told me that he wanted to be together and be a family, and I just believed him, so I stayed so we were together and dating, but it was always him trying to control crazy, like, not like normal things. Like, if I would put my fork down, he would take my food and eat it, and he'd say, "This is what my dad did to me. You need to learn to not put your fork down when you eat."
Okay.
And he did that to my children.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the thing that was a red flag of when I was only there for 2 weeks with him. I was scared of being around him because everything I did, he would give me my consequence,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't really a rational thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't even know, like, I just think I don't know what else to say at the end of the sentence. But the thing about the sexual abuse, I wrote these questions because he also, during those 2 weeks that I stayed with him, the first week, his best friend from high school, who was only 21, and Alex is 24, and I'm 34. He gave his permission. He gave his friend Cade, the 21-year-old, permission to have sex with me. That first week, the week that Alex started having sex with me, and he told me about it. He's like, "I was so disappointed you guys didn't hook up," and I was like, "What? You can't give someone else permission to have sex with me?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he talked about how they double teamed someone before, and he was wishing that we could have, but I only had one hole because my vagina was still messed up from having a baby.
Wow. Sounds like a piece of work, to say the least.
So it's a 2.5 month of sexual abuse, but the main one I'm talking about is when I was in a spiral of, I have postpartum depression already. I was already being treated for it, but when he took my like, when I found out the mom was going to watch the baby, I couldn't handle that, and so I just sobbed and sobbed. And when he did that to me and then left, I just couldn't make my brain understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I called and called, and after 3 hours he just says, "Stella's fine, it's not a good idea if we talk," and blocked me and called the police.
Okay.
So it was like mental abuse also for a person who's disabled. That I'm very literal.
Mm-hmm. When did this happen? When did this incident happen?
May 5th, 2022.
Okay. That was on May 5th.
And he was successfully able to lock me in a psych ward because he came and signed the affidavit.
And you said police came out?
Mm-hmm. And the police called him and told him, "Bring the baby back. You are causing this problem right now."
Mm-hmm.
And he said no and refused 3 separate times. And the police grew tired of it and said, "Well, I'm just going to take you in and have them assess you."
Where was that? Here in Oklahoma City?
Mm-hmm. At Mercy Hospital.
Okay.
They took me in, and Alex came in. So they took me in. Nobody really. I mean, I thought that nobody thought I should be kept. I just thought that everybody understood I was just sobbing, and sobbing's not a criminal act.
Right.
But they locked me in so they chose to keep me in, and I was there Friday. But the thing of importance is, so they kept me all weekend, and then on Monday they assessed me and immediately released me to be reunited with my baby, because I should have they said, "We're so sorry you were ever taken away from your baby." Mm-hmm. She'd never been away from her being a breastfed baby. And when I went to go pick up my baby from Alex, because he told the hospital, "Yes, she can come home, the baby's here for her," he actually locked the changed the locks and filed an emergency custody and said that I'd never had the baby and I was in a psych ward and therefore I was unable to care for a baby.
Okay. Where were you guys living at when this happened?
I lived in Stillwater, and he lived in on Memorial, by 2 miles from Mercy Hospital.
Okay. Was it an apartment complex?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that the address is 5300 West Memorial.
Okay.
Meadow. Oh no, it's right next to a park called. It's next to a walking park and lake.
The Martin Luther King deal. Okay.
It's just Martin Luther.
Martin Luther Park. Yeah. Okay. You said it's right next to that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like the backyard.
Okay. And police were called there, so we would probably have the call notes and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I have the whole video because there's also a DOJ, a DOJ investigation into the Oklahoma City Police Department mishandling of mental health calls.
Right.
Which this also falls under because the officer who interacted with me, he did a great job, but then he wrote a faulty report because he felt so pressured by Alex that he wrote what Alex spoke about in the report.
Did he write about what you said?
No. And I've already interviewed Captain Godsill, and he says this, I've never seen a police report written in this manner, but he didn't do it in a malicious way, so there's no reprimand.
Right.
But the officer, after 30 seconds, canceled the backup that was supposed to be coming for mental health backup.
Okay, like the CIT officer?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where the error is on OKCPD. The man did a good job. He tried to get Alex to come back, but then he fell under the pressure of, well, I have to write something. I've already EOD'd her. May I actually show you something?
Yeah.
I actually have it. I actually have the video of him, almost in a mocking way, of the officer talking about bringing me in.
Okay.
Hold on.
Were you recording this whole thing?
No,
okay.
I got the police cam.
Oh, you got the body cam?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've requested the unredacted one, which has Alex refusing to bring the baby back over and over, and nobody will release it to me.
Okay.
I even petitioned the city court.
Okay.
Darn it, hold on, I'm trying to think how these work. Dang it, sorry, sir.
Are you okay?
Is there any other questions while I'm trying to figure out how to do this?
Just so I have my dates down, because I mean, you are providing great, accurate dates, but just so I have it down for myself. When did you move? When did you move here with him?
I've never have.
You just can't try to live with him for a few weeks.
Okay, I lived in Stillwater.
Right.
And I live in a 2-story house, and since I had that and the surgery and I had metal, they said I wasn't allowed to walk upstairs for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So for 2 weeks I was at his apartment.
Okay, so it makes sense. Off of Memorial? Okay.
And I always retained my own residence.
Okay. When did you move, or when did you come stay with Alex, and when did you leave?
February 18th.
Okay.
Through March, I think 5th is what the date is. Other relevant things of how he medically abused me is he worked at the hospital that I had my baby at, and when you have a C-section you're supposed to be there for 48 hours. He had me released 24 hours after I had a baby.
Okay.
And said, well, I know how to take the staples out at home, she's fine.
Okay.
Because there's a picture of me in his home holding my baby and the cat at 6 p.m. the day after I had a C-section. And then on 2/22, which is when my baby was 5 days old, is when he started having anal sex with me.
Okay. And then you said on May 5th was when the incident happened, where you said that you were upset about what was going on with him. You said you were sitting on the toilet crying, and you thought he was going to give you a hug and console you, but he ended up. You said you're describing an anal rape.
Yes.
Pretty much. Okay. So on this visit, because you said that you were here from February to March, on this visit, remind me again why you came to his house on the 5th.
Because it was my first day working at, what is it called? Hefner Grill.
Okay, because you moved here from, no, you just got a job here? Okay.
Because he said, we can't be together if you don't work in Oklahoma City.
Okay. So that was your first day working there?
I'd had a 1-hour orientation the week before, but it was my first real day of working there.
Okay.
And I worked 9 to 3, and it was his first time to ever keep Stella by himself without me.
Okay.
And that when he entered the emergency report, he stated 2 different times that Stella had always resided in Oklahoma City, and that I only occasionally saw her, which are just blatant untruths.
So it made it sound like you were the one that just came and visited every now and then, when that wasn't
not factual at all.
Okay. So when you got that job and you were starting at Hefner Grill, you were still living in Stillwater, but the reason you took the job was because he said that he couldn't be with you if you didn't have a job here in the city. Okay,
yes.
so this was you trying to work things out with him pretty much.
And so when I said, I can't do this, I can't work in the city if your mom's going to be the one who keeps the baby.
Okay.
Because I have pages and pages of messages of him talking about my parents were willing to beat the shit out of me. I don't want them to ever be around our baby.
Okay. Did you find out that his mom would be watching the kid? Did he give you a heads up ahead of time, or did he tell you like as?
That's what his response was. Of when I got home that day, he was home with the baby, and his response of me saying, "This is my schedule," and he said, "That's the same. The baby can just stay with my mom.
Got it. Okay.
She wants to retire and stay home with this baby every day."
Okay.
And it sent me in the worst spiral I could handle of thinking of my baby being with his abusive mom.
Okay.
Because they had already, 2 weeks previously, on the weekend before Easter, we were supposed to go to his parents' house for Easter, and his parent texted him and said, "Don't bring those black kids over here," which are my 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were there, they dropped the N-word more than 10 times, telling us, "Get the hell out."
Wow.
And then they stole my baby 5 days later.
That's Alex's parents?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, now I understand. Like I said, I just needed a little bit of that, how that conversation went about. So, okay. So after the 5th, you said he ended up filling out like a. I'm assuming he's the one that filled out the emergency order of detention.
I got released on Monday, or I got cleared on Monday, so I was released on Tuesday.
Okay.
On Wednesday, so he called the hospital called him and said, "We're releasing her," and he said, "I'm here with the baby. She can have the approving that I'm here with the baby. She has a support system." But in reality, I got out on Tuesday. He found out I was out and went and filed the next day and said, "She's still in a psych ward. She has a pending DHS case about her, and she's never been around the baby. This baby's mine."
Okay.
And so I showed up at court because I wasn't in the psych ward, and court was an emergency situation. So I went and I said, "I was just served 12 hours ago. My attorney can't appear today. Can we please continue it?" And she said, "Ma'am, do you not know what an emergency is? Sign the papers or represent yourself right now." And I said, "But I really have an attorney,
Mm-hmm.
And they said that me signing those papers that day signified that everything they said and that was true.
Right. He filed an emergency VPL on you?
No, he just filed the emergency custody, but every single thing in it was false.
He filed for emergency custody of your child?
The day after I was released from a psych ward, stating she is currently in a psych ward. She has a current DHS case, but the DHS case was about him.
Okay. So you just try to put it all on you.
He wrote it in paper, and he said he hadn't even lived in Oklahoma County for 6 months. That's a requirement of, It says, "I have lived for here 6 months, Stella has lived here for 6 more months," and she just wasn't.
Yeah.
And when I showed photographs of, look, these things just aren't true,
Mm-hmm.
I've been completely invalidated because I've been in a psych ward.
Okay. And I'm sad that that's actually happened. That's kind of terrible. Well, you figure that they would do their homework before they just let somebody make it.
When I showed when I showed the photo album of her geotagged in Stillwater every day besides those 2 weeks, they said it doesn't matter where she used to be, she's where she belongs now. Because he's a doctor and I'm not.
That's what the court said?
That's what the GAL said, who was supposed to be the neutral person.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what's happened since then? Since you guys have got the court date?
I have never got to have my baby without a paid supervisor.
Okay.
I only get to see her by paying $50 an hour because they just believed everything he said is true.
How often do you see Stella?
I'm allowed to see her once a week, but the supervisor I had quit the day before court.
Okay.
In March. So I got another one. And the hard thing about being autistic is people don't understand that you're not being argumentative And so when I tried to meet with the second supervisor, I realized I was going to be late because I was driving slower in the rain, so I sent a screenshot saying, I'll be here at this time. And then I got there, and it was in the middle of downtown and not the right place, so I hand-typed it in my GPS. And I told her, I'm 16 minutes away. Please don't leave. This is my only time. I'm paying you the full 2 hours. Don't leave. And she sent me a message and said, you can find another supervisor.
Okay.
So all I did was communicate clearly of, this is what's happening, I'll be there in this time. And so that supervisor dropped me without ever meeting me, and they won't approve any other supervisor. And so court just happened today. And when court happened, that was a very hard PTSD triggering of him standing up. I have been talking about this stupid rape to my counselor for months and months, but I haven't had to see him in person again.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried so hard to just be calm in court, and I didn't do anything wrong, but I tried to tell the judge, please look at my papers, look at my information that I'm submitting to you. And they said, the only thing that's important is you've refused to see your baby for the last 6 weeks. And I said, I didn't refuse. They dropped me because two people dropped me, and I can't do anything about it if they won't approve anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judge walked out, and Alex laughed out loud, and it just sent me into a frenzy of sadness. And we're thinking about this stupid rape that he got to laugh at that, and he just got to laugh at me. And that's why today I came in and reported it, that I've been going through counseling about it for months and months, but I hadn't had to be exposed to him in person. And I thought I could handle it. But it all happened, it just all came flooding back and happening again when just seeing him so smug that he's allowed to do whatever he wants to me.
Right.
Sorry.
It's okay. You don't need to be sorry for that. There's nothing to be sorry for. It's not your fault. You know what I mean?
I know it's not, and I know all I'm trying to do is the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at court, because of my outburst of saying, please read my information, I'm begging you, here's 20 references, I'm not a bad person at all, I don't understand why you guys just believe everything he says and won't take into account what I'm talking about. And she just said, ma'am, you're messing up more and more, stop talking.
You remember what the judge names were?
The good thing is, so I told her, I was like, I know, and she goes, why can't you, I kept telling her, I was like, I am autistic, I've asked for help, I got approved by the court, I wrote for my ADA rights, and I was like, I need an advocate in the court by my side, so the judge doesn't reprimand me for stupid things that I'm doing, like answering her questions when she's not wanting me to answer, because I just don't understand the fucking difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so they approved it, and they said, this is a personal decision, you have to bring your own advocate. And so I looked, and I don't live in Oklahoma County, so I can't get an Oklahoma County one. There's nothing in Payne County, and Payne County won't travel here. And I told the judge that, and I was like, ma'am, I am trying to get an advocate to stand in to help you guys understand that I'm not a bad person.
Right.
And I guess that finally actually reached her, because that's when she went back to the back to go get resources for who she can help me find an advocate. And that's when Alex laughed out loud, and that's when I had the outburst of, I was like, you fucked me on the day I said, you fucked me in the ass the day you sent me to a psych ward. This is not fair. This is not fair. This man gets to sit in here and do this to me. The judge wasn't at the bench, but I just walked out of the courtroom because I just knew I couldn't handle it.
Okay. So you didn't get to stay for the whole thing?
That was the end. The judge went and talked to a person, and so she gave me a piece of paper, and she said, I want you to call this number and talk to them, because it's a disability resource, and come back in and tell me what they have to say. So I said, okay. So I went into the side room, and I called her, and I spoke to her for like 45 minutes or an hour, and my attorney called me and said, well, the judge is going to lunch now, so we're all good to go. You don't need to go bring her that note about what you talked about. We'll just see you at court in August. I still sat and finished my note because I said that's what I was told to do.
Okay.
And so I wrote my letter to Judge Hammond of thank you for this resource. This is what we talked about. This is how they're going to try to help me with an advocate, and they'll contact me later this week. Thank you.
Okay.
And then they won't be back till 1:15.
Okay.
I tried to go report this just straight, like right when I burst into tears there. I just went out because I knew there was a lot of sheriffs there, and I just thought that was I was like, that's who I can go tell because that's
Right.
a safe person. And then they told me to find you guys, so they drew me a map, and I tried to walk down here and I couldn't figure it out, so I went back and drove down here.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting until 1:15 to speak to the judge again.
Okay. It's with Hammond? Okay.
So she had a realization that how bad that they were treating me. But you know what I mean? Like, and I haven't spoken to her since, but she did have the realization that we were really not doing this person correctly.
Right. Did you say you were supposed to be back at 1:15?
No, she just...
They're gonna call?
No,
Okay.
she just... And my lawyer called and told me that she said it's fine to go, just come back to court that week, when it's scheduled.
Okay.
But she's who told me, please turn this note in, and that's why I hate the autistic traits of if someone tells me that I'm supposed to do something, I still think I'm supposed to go do it, So I have my note typed or written, ready to go get back to her.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with finishing what she asked you to do. I think that's still important.
That's
I don't think that, yeah.
But it might not be necessary. Like, she's not even waiting on me anymore,
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know that, but I think she still wanted you to get that done, and I think that'll prove that you were willing to do what she asked you to do. So I think just that little step is going to go a long way with her. I know her. She used to be a judge in a criminal setting a lot, but she doesn't deal with criminal stuff anymore. All she does is with like the civil stuff. So maybe the outburst that you made, she may have. I know her well enough that I don't think that she was trying to be disrespectful. I think she cares about what happened to you. I just believe that she was there. She
didn't hear the ass part.
Right.
When she was out of the room, and I just couldn't hold it in.
Okay.
And I know that was inappropriate, and that's why I just removed myself from the courtroom so I couldn't get in trouble.
How did that end, though? Like, whenever you walked out, what happened?
I just went and I went and found a sheriff first, and I got their information, and I sat in the hallway, and while the sheriff was coming to give me the information, the map to get to the police department, my attorney came by and said, here's a note from the judge, call this number, and then go talk to the judge afterwards.
Okay. All right. So this main incident that happened on the 5th, before the 5th, how many times had it happened before that?
I didn't document it, but
that's okay.
If I was there at if it started on day 5 till, well, hold on, whatever calendar. Here, okay. I was going to say, can I just use a piece of paper? Sorry. This is the only way my brain can... Ah!
It's alright.
Oh my gosh, and it's... Let me get my brain to work, hold on. February. So I really just messed up, actually. Okay, so it started here, and at least 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay.
And at least 3 times at my own home.
Okay. Was any of it consensual?
He would do it while I was nursing Stella, so I couldn't climb away.
Okay. Where'd it happen at? In
his bed.
In his bed? In his bedroom? Okay. While he was living at this memorial address?
Yes.
Okay. And so what would he do? Like, I know that you were nursing Stella, but how did that start off?
I would be laying sideways nursing Stella, and he would just come up behind me and stick his finger in first, and then jam his ticket.
Okay. And I know this is uncomfortable talking, and I'm not trying
I
to bring
know.
up
I
anything
know,
that you don't
why
want to talk about.
it's okay, but that's just the easy. He would
Yeah.
just, and he'd be like, "You can't move. Stella's right there. Don't roll over, Stella," and then continue to just keep shoving it in me.
Okay. And on the 5th, you were at his house when this happened?
Yes.
Okay. And you were on the toilet?
I was on the toilet. First, I was in the living room where I sobbed, and then I went to the toilet, and I didn't have my pants on anymore because I was not at the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked me up from the toilet because I just kept sobbing, and I put my arms out, and I thought he was putting me up for, a hug. And he, kind of half carried me to the bed, and so I just, flopped forward in the bed, and then he just bent down and started going at my ass.
Okay. And you said you didn't have any pants on or underwear at that time because
No,
were you using the restroom?
I'd finished. I was just still sitting there,
Okay,
know.
gotcha.
And it was like a motion of when you just kind of the old-fashioned picture of a kid praying in bed when they just can't handle anymore and they just sob like this.
Right.
That's the exact motion I was in, and he just went for my ass instead of
Did he say anything to you beforehand, or?
No, he didn't say anything afterward. He didn't say anything during, before, or afterwards, and I literally just kept sobbing and sobbing. And but after he was finished, he went and wiped himself off, put Stella's carrier in his arms, and left.
Okay. During while he was raping you, I'm just gonna call it what it is. While he was raping you, were you saying anything to him?
I literally just kept sobbing.
Okay.
I never even picked my head up from the bed. I just sobbed and sobbed.
Okay. And I don't mean to pry. Like I said, I work in sex crimes, so some of the questions I ask may come across inappropriate, but it's for.
I'm very direct, so it's fine with me.
The entire time that you've known Alex, have you guys had anal sex before?
Not before that.
Okay, not before you stayed with him for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he kind of talk you into it, or did he just surprise that on you one day, or how did that work?
He talked about that's all he wanted, that he's bi and he actually would rather be with a man. And that's everyone's own business,
Mm-hmm.
But he just started, and he was like, after on the 222, I just lay there and sobbed because I said, "What did you do to me?" And he says, "It'll get better, I promise."
Okay.
As if that was just a continuing thing he planned on doing until I got used to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that's not something that you're comfortable with, obviously.
No.
Okay. And he told you he was bi?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that beforehand?
I got pregnant in 2 weeks, and I just didn't know him at all.
Yeah, okay. Do you have Alex's, I know you gave me his first and last name of Alex Helms. Do you know his birthday?
Hold on. It's 7/8/98.
Okay. And I'm assuming we've got a police report on him. If you say that the cops came out and they did all that, we probably have a report documenting you two in there before then. What is your first name?
Sarah Romine.
Okay. Spell your first name.
SARAH.
Okay.
ROMINE.
Okay. And what's your birthday?
3/16/89.
Okay. What is a good phone number for you?
580-830-0881.
Okay.
I want to make one commentary more that I want you to add to your thing. During the time, so after the 2 weeks when he went back to work and I was back at home, he would text me multiple times talking about jacking off in the bathroom at work. And every time I would just put an exclamation response,
Yeah.
And I turned it into his supervisor, and the supervisor moved him to daytime.
Okay. Where does he work at?
Oklahoma Heart Hospital.
Okay.
And I
Up
think
on Memorial?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's relevant that his sexual deviance was even at work.
Well, was it just like a random text message, or did he tell you why he was doing that stuff, or?
Well, he just would be like, "P.S. I just jacked off at work in the bathroom again." But he would tell me that he texted me that he had the new anxiety medicine he was taking made him have sex dreams about his coworkers.
Okay. What's your address?
1706 West 22nd Avenue, Stillwater, Oklahoma.
What is the zip code up there?
74074.
What side of Stillwater is that?
What?
What side of Stillwater is that?
Country Club.
Country Club? Gotcha. Okay. I went to school up there, so.
I was gonna say I'm the poorest one in my district.
Oh, I lived at the. Do you know where the Cowboy Town apartments are? That's where I stayed at.
Yeah,
so.
Once you live in Stillwater, you just know that area.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to figure out which side you were on. Okay. Do you know? Is Alex still living up on Memorial? Do you know?
I think he moved in with his parents.
Okay, I can figure all that stuff
Yeah.
out. Do you know his parents' name? It's okay.
Hold on, Michelle and Clint Rayburn.
Okay.
I think Clint's the man name.
Okay. All right. Does you know if Alex has a good phone number? Do you know his phone number?
I do.
Okay. How often do you see Alex? I know you said you hadn't seen him in a long time before today.
I don't have to because that's what the supervisor gives the baby to, or he gives the baby to the supervisor and the supervisor gives her to me.
Okay.
So I haven't seen him, I only see him at court time.
Okay. So does Alex currently have your child?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, his parents keep the child 24 all the time.
Okay.
He works 5 days a week and the baby's always with the parents. So.
Okay. What's his phone number? Is that Stella?
Yes. Hold on, you want to see a little sassy ass girl?
Oh my goodness.
What's
she saying there?
I like ice.
Isn't
that hilarious?
Yeah.
But then here's her eating French fries like a little.
Wow, like a little diva.
Isn't that hilarious?
Look at that hair. Yeah.
She is funny.
Yeah. What was the last part of his phone number? Sorry, I didn't get it all. I got distracted.
She's so cute. 6433.
Okay. All right. So, what would you ultimately like to see happen with this case?
I think it's a pattern of sexual abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a main event of sexual abuse.
Okay.
And I would like that to be charged. I don't know if the pattern matters, but that date specifically was very specific.
Right.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And the funny thing, because I go to counseling twice a week because I'm autistic, and because of all this trauma.
Yeah.
I wrote down even questions of like, not like I literally labeled it lie detector question test. Sex with Sarah after Stella was wearing questions. How long is it recommended? How many weeks postpartum was Sarah when you began having sex? Describe what type of sex. Did you have sex with Sarah when Stella's in the room? Did Sarah initiate or did you? And then it talks about how did you allow his friend to? Did he try? Did you want him to? He told me how disappointed he was that I didn't let his friend fuck me.
Yeah.
Did you have sex toys placed around your apartment? Did you have a huge butt plug on the door handle of your fridge? Did you threaten to use the fridge handle if I didn't abide? Did you think it was appropriate to make other people touch the butt plug in order to open the fridge?
Is that what he had in his apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
On his door handle was a big butt plug.
Okay.
For the fridge. And
okay.
he would threaten me all the time if I don't comply, he's using it.
Comply with what?
Whatever he asked.
Okay. All right. What kind of person is Alex? Sounds like pretty controlling. Does he have any criminal history?
He has an MIP, a fake ID, and possession of a gun.
Okay. Is he a felon?
The possession of the gun, he only told me about. It's a Texas arrest, and they left him in jail for a week. But he only told me about it because they called during those 2 weeks I was there. Because he was on probation and had to check in about it.
Okay.
So he didn't ever even want to tell me that happened. So I just know the bare information.
Okay. I can find that stuff out.
Because they confiscated his it was, I think it was just misuse of a firearm because it wasn't a gun, it was a bow and arrow set.
Okay. Okay. So, before I forget, you know Alex better than me,
okay.
And it sounds like, in my own opinion, he's kind of a butthole. That's probably to say the least. I'm going to ask you a few questions and stuff like that, and I hope that you don't take it as anything rude.
I'm just going to answer the questions.
Okay. What I'm going to ask you is going to help, because if I present this to an 88 and say we take this to court, this moves on to court, the defense is going to try to do what they've already been doing to you, trying to paint you as like you've been in these facilities and stuff like that. So they're going to want, my ADA is probably going to want some questions answered. Like, first, you've already flat out told me when you first came in here that you do have autism, right? Are you taking any medications for that right now?
I don't take medication for autism, but I have anxiety and OCD and PTSD.
Okay.
And I take Effexor 75 milligrams.
Is that Effexor?
Yep, Effexor XR.
Okay.
75 once a day.
Okay.
And then Seroquel 25 3 times a day. And in perspective, Seroquel is a scary sounding medicine, but people who take it for being bipolar take a 300 3 times a day.
Okay.
And I take a 25. So
okay.
it's literally a accompaniment for anxiety.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Because when you see the word Seroquel, it is for bipolar, but that's at 1,200 milligrams a day, and I take 75.
Okay. Any drug or alcohol use?
I have my weed card.
Okay. How often do you smoke?
On the weekends.
Okay. Any alcohol?
I drink on the weekends if I don't have my kids.
Okay.
But nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Any prior arrests or anything?
No.
No? Good.
Well, hold on. I got arrested for not having new insurance on my new car because they told me my old insurance counted and it wasn't true.
Okay.
So I spent a night in jail about insurance before.
Oh, okay.
So.
No, that's nothing crazy. That's just insurance.
But that's why I can't.
Right.
My counselor, said the best thing about you is no matter what, you don't lie. Because if you ask you 5 years from now, the answer is the same answer.
Yeah.
And if you even stumble at all, you're saying, I'm so sorry, that's not what I meant to say.
Okay, good. Let's see here. I think that's it. Before this incident, you brought up you said you were a victim of another sexual assault that happened at a bar. Besides that, were there any other times? No? Okay.
And that rape happened the week after I got pregnant, so that really marred the pregnancy of that's a PTSD of being assaulted, you know?
Right. Okay. Any other questions do you have for me?
No. I want you to think of any hard questions because I want you guys to be able to know, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other questions that you guys... The reason how to say it. When the rape happened at the bar, I was a bartender, and at last call, the guy who raped me gave me a drink and I refused it, and the owner was like, just take it, he already bought it, and I took it and I blacked out, and the next morning I woke up sleeping in a recliner. And when I went to go to work the next week, the boss was showing people the video of this man assaulting me on the front porch of the bar in front of 100 people.
Did you make a report when that happened?
I did, and because I found out 5 days after it had happened because I didn't even know. I just went back to work the next week, and I knew something happened, and I asked everybody, why do I have 100 bruises on me? I woke up smothered in bruises.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody told me anything. So when I went to work a week later and she was showing people this video, I told her about it, and she says, oh, I watched the video and it wasn't rape. You took your own panties off. Let me go make sure it's deleted. And went and deleted it.
Okay.
And so I reported it to the police 3 days later because all I did was cry for the next 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I reported it to the police, it was a sheriff department in Creek County, and the woman...
You said Creek County?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It happened on 6/13/21.
And you said you worked at a place called Last Call?
No, it was at Last Call.
The
bar was called Route 66 Biker Bar.
Okay. Okay.
But because I took 10 days to report it, I didn't know for the first week, so I didn't go get swabbed, I didn't go get drug tested, I didn't go do anything because I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reported it at 10 days, and when I told them, the woman said, that's just the kind of thing that happens at places like that. And I just was couldn't fucking believe it. And I was like, look at all these bruises. Like, I didn't even know anything occurred. And when I found out, I gathered the details to tell you, and now you're mocking me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so that's why, because me and my counselor have been talking about this for months and months, and I was like, she goes, Sarah, can you bear for them to mock you again if they don't take you serious?
Right.
And I don't think I can, you know? That's
Mm-hmm.
why I thank you for not being hateful to me.
Yeah. I don't have any reason to be hateful to you at all.
Well, when I reported it there, they just said, that's just the kind of things that happen at places like that. And so I called and I followed it up once a week for 10 whole weeks, saying, have you followed up? You know, like, please call them, please do the things. And he didn't, the deputy didn't answer me. So I showed up in person after I found out I was pregnant. And he yelled at me again and said, I've just been waiting on you to call and give me, insert someone's phone number. And I was like, sir, I've called you 8 times. Like, for the last 8 weeks, here's my call log. I just am trying to get you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you're not going to call me a liar. Get the hell out of my office. And so I said, I'm just going to go to the DA and sob until someone listens, because I don't understand how I'm reporting, here's all the details, and you guys just keep laughing at me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the DA's office, and they listened to me, and then they closed it a month later.
Okay.
Because none of the evidence they needed was
still there, yeah, because somebody deleted it.
Yeah. So and there was a voicemail from the man who did it as well,
Mm-hmm.
bragging about I did her last night. She don't even know. And so for the last year, I've also been working on, like, somebody has to like, here's these details that are true.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this man allowed to just retire and go live on a lake now? And all I've dealt with is the consequences of this PTSD, and then Alex compounded it, knowing I already couldn't handle that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And because me and him actively talked about, like, he knew that I had PTSD, like, he knew all those things, and still did it.
Yeah. I can't speak for him because I don't understand people like that, so I don't have a reason to why he...
But I'm happy to give you this thing. Also.
Okay.
That's just what I typed to my counselor.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you needed this or not. So.
It's in my email. I can get another one.
Okay. I'll keep this. What's going to happen from here is I've got your interview, so I'm going to have to call... I'll be calling Alex and I have to talk to him about it. I have to give him a chance to tell me his side of the story, unfortunately, which I'm sure he'll probably stick to what he made the original report on back then. Once I get his side of the story.
So, hold on, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because I asked them to, so is it a question of if he acknowledges that he did anything, or is he just going, you know what I mean?
What do you mean, is it a question of...
Like, are you guys asking, like...
No, so on this type of deal, so when this report is made, for us as detectives, I have to go give him a chance to respond to me and give his side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I contact him and he blows me off and doesn't want to come in and talk about it, or he's being an a-hole to me about stuff, then I'll give him like a day or two to respond to me and see if he'll agree to at least come in person. Sometimes they don't want to, they'll do it over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk to him about it. It's not whether or not he wants to say what his involvement was in it. He's probably just going to give me his side of the story. I'll ask some of the questions that I've already asked you based off of your story. I'll ask him those questions. Did this stuff ever happen? And see what his responses are to all that.
Okay.
And I'll write up a report based off of my interview with him. As soon as that's over with, on Thursdays we have district attorneys come over to our individual units. So we have one that's just specifically assigned to sex crimes, and that's all she does.
Okay.
And we'll talk to her. I'll present all the facts of the case to her. She's the one that makes the ultimate decision on what's going to happen with this case, on if he's going to face time or if we're going to go to court on this and everything like that. So my job is to do my interview with you, interview with him, and then
compare facts and see how you feel.
Yeah, I have to put them together, and what I do is just I give her both of your guys' side of the story, and she listens to everything and that's the reason like she likes to come over in person. If she doesn't like doing it over the phone, because some things are lost in
and that's why I wanted to be in person. And because I haven't been in the city.
Right.
And so.
And that's what she does. She likes being in person, so we can actually talk to her and give a good feel about stuff. Because sometimes she may be rushed on the phone, but she carves out a time. She usually gets here from 8, and she'll stay up until noon just to hear our cases out, just to get an idea of what happened on this deal. So like I said, if he sticks to I didn't do anything, she's full of crap, and that's the route he wants to go, I'm going to tell him that's how I'm going to staff this with the district attorney. Is that if that's your weak story you want to stick to, then that's what we're going to have to do. But I'm going to try to give him the opportunity to tell me, and hopefully by the way I talk to him, like, this is your chance to tell me what happened before I go talk to somebody who makes powerful decisions on what's going to happen for your future. So
because he's just been able to, not even about lying, but like the judge, he's just so used to the judge just letting anything, because even during my phone calls, there's no restriction of time limit, and at 10 minutes he says, all right, it's time for you to go to bed, goodbye. And I'm like, please don't hang up, it's my time. And he's like, if you want more time, pay for it on the weekends, goodbye.
Yeah.
So he just has a very arrogant head about him. So just, I mean, I can't pre-tell you, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'll pick up on that whenever I talk to him, I'm sure that attitude will come out. So it sounds like he's that type of guy that can't hide that kind of stuff. So but that'll be my next step, is so I'll reach out to him and ask for an interview with him and see what he says.
Thank you.
And then after that, like I said, on Thursdays I usually staff cases, depending.
So it'll probably be next week then, since today's already Wednesday.
Depending on how fast he responds to me, I'll try to give him a call today and see what happens. But if he doesn't want to come in, or he doesn't agree to come in tomorrow, then it'll probably be that next Thursday. But I'll do a better job at communicating with you on like what's going on, or if I interview Alex, I'll just let you know, hey, I interviewed Alex today, and just so you know like what step I'm on and all that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't like that. Did you see my heart like smile out loud?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then on Thursday, like I said, if I don't call you on Thursday, you can just call me and ask me for an update. Okay.
You should have.
Yep.
Okay, and your name is?
Detective Barnes, Barnes. Badge number is 1954. And then I'll give you my city phone number.
Okay.
It's going to be a 918 area code. 915 3888. And that's my city cell phone number. So if you have questions as we're moving along, or you think of something else that's important, you can call or text that phone number, and I can respond to you back on that.
Perfect.
So, and because I'm not in patrol, I can't just pull a case number like on a computer. So what I'll do is once you leave, I'll ask for a case number, and I'll call you, and I'll just send you a text of a picture of the case number as well, so you have that for your file. So.
Okay. Yeah, I have a copy of the police report.
Okay. For the one that we made previously? Yeah, for this one, because I'll have to make a new one for this one.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
My brain, I was like, oh, I've seen a police report number before.
Yeah. No, I'll just give you your new one.
This is you, I think.
Thank you. So any other questions or anything?
Thank you for respecting me.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first time it's happened in any Oklahoma City thing.
Well,
and I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's sad. It shouldn't be like that. So.
Because when you met me, do I come off as unstable or wild or anything?
No.
Court just thinks I'm absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I don't like that place. I hate going to court. I'm an officer and I hate going there because they make me feel like crap too. So anytime I go there, it's always the worst day ever. So.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem.